Honourable members, in pursuance of complaints by members of Parliament and following allegations in the media, the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interest proceeded to investigate a complaint against the former Minister of Communications, Ms. Dina Pule, MP. The committee's findings and recommended penalties were published in the ATC on the 7th of August 2013. Upon completing its investigation, the committee charged Ms. Pule and found her guilty in the first instance of not disclosing the financial interest of her permanent companion as required by item 9G of the Code of Conduct for Assembly and Permanent Council members. Her concealment and continued denial of the relationship allowed her permanent companion to gain improper financial benefit. Ms. Pule was also found to be in breach of item 13 of the Code by not declaring to Telkom that her permanent companion had a financial interest in an event sponsored by that particular telecommunications company. As a member of the executive, she ought not to have placed herself in a position where there was a conflict of interest. In addition to the transgressions pertaining to Ms. Pule's declaration of financial interest, the committee also found her to be in breach of item 16B of the Code, as she provided incorrect and misleading information. In fact, the committee found that there was intent on the part of Ms. Pule willfully to mislead the panel appointed to investigate the facts of the matter. The Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interest recommended 3 penalties. In its report, those penalties have now been agreed to by this House. The first penalty constitutes a reprimand in terms of item 19A of the Code of Conduct, which I will now proceed to deliver. Will the member please rise? Ms. Pule, the charges you have been found guilty of by this House are extremely serious. As public representatives, we are constantly aware that the people of South Africa look to Parliament and its members to display the highest ethical values and standards in what they say and how they conduct themselves. A great amount of trust has been placed in us as members of Parliament to chart a course that will lead to a better life for our people. That we do by protecting our national assets and by ensuring in an open and transparent manner that these assets are used only in the public interest and not for private gain. Your breach of the Code of Conduct, Ms. Pule, has gravely undermined the people's trust and brought this House and its members into disrepute. Furthermore, you willfully misled the Ethics Committee by lying under oath in your continued attempt to conceal your relationship. In doing so, you showed complete disregard for the exceptional privilege members of Parliament have of freedom of speech in this House and before its committees. Both as a member of this House and as a cabinet minister, you had undertaken to uphold the Constitution and to act according to its principles when you took your oath of office. Your direct contravention of the provisions of Section 96(2) of the Constitution by allowing your position to be used to improperly benefit your permanent companion shows indifference to our Constitution, which is unacceptable. Please be seated, Ms. Pule. Honourable members, I have now acted within my authority and issued the reprimand as required. The suspension of Ms. Pule's privileges and right to a seat in parliamentary debates or committees for 15 days will come into effect tomorrow. and I will also ensure that the fine of 30 days' salary that was agreed by this House is imposed. Ms. Pule is required to submit full details in respect of any non-disclosure of her financial interest and to correct the incomplete declarations for the year 2009 to 2013. The remainder of the recommendations agreed by the House today will be communicated to the relevant role players. That concludes the House consideration of the report and the recommendation of the Ethics Committee and the implementation of the penalties as required by Item 20 of the Code.
News that moves. ENCA.com.